This is the official hour with RBP, where we talk about raw, unfiltered solutions and tips to all things entrepreneurship. And now, here's your host, Rahul B. Patel.
What's up, guys? This is Rahul B. Patel with the official hour, and today I've got something super special. First of the year, I have a guest on today's show with me, Chasity Morales. What's going on, Chasity?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Wow, it's my absolute pleasure. So, I know we've talked about some important topics this year about fear, creating opportunity, removing toxicity, and really buying your own product. And this young woman right here has lived and breathed every bit of that. So today, the topic is taking theory into practice. And there isn't a better person than Chasity Morales to talk about that. So Chasity, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, super excited to be here and to be your first guest for the year.
To be honest with you, you're the only one that said yes. So, you know.
Okay, then maybe I should have given you more of a hassle before. No? Okay.
All right.
Well, Rahul is my business partner. We actually have opened up a few F45s throughout the San Antonio area. Right now, I'm doing more of the athletic side of things, helping develop the studios, helping really develop San Antonio overall, change as many people's lives, as well as break the stigma that San Antonio currently has of being an unhealthy city. I think we've really made that our mission statement, and it's really what's helping us drive the movement of F45 and living a healthy lifestyle. So,
Chasity is way too modest. So, you talk about one of the topics that's super important to me is like fear creating opportunity. So for those of you that have followed my path or my journey, and those that haven't, go back and listen to some of the podcast specifically about how you can fuel your body. Fueling your body will fuel your mind. And how I met Chasity was a few years ago. I happened to be going to Austin. She had messaged me and said, hey, I need some help, possibly on some legal contracts with her football career. And we'll get into that a little bit. And I said, you know what, I'm actually going to be in Austin. I stopped by the studio and I saw Chasity in action, literally changing people's lives. And I was at that point in my life where I needed that. Yeah. And here I am, and here we are. And now we've got, at least 6 gyms open, and we're doing more. So Chasity, tell us a little bit about your background.
All right, so I actually have a sports background, as you kind of touched on a little bit. I played women's professional football for about 5 years. I got into that because I was in pageants. I ended up doing a transition from pageants into professional football because I played sports my entire life. And when I was playing, I ran into F45, which is the current studios that we own right now.
When was that? How old were you?
Early 20s, 20, 21.
How old are you now?
I am 29.
There you go. Look,
she's 30.
Yeah, there you go.
It's been a process.
All right.
It's been a
so
process.
You still get the 30 under 30 award. All right.
There you go.
Right.
But I was playing football for a little bit, and I wanted to figure out a way to transition from a sports career into a professional career, because back then I was looking at taking a safe route of going into dentistry, and to be honest, there was just no passion for it, and that's just not the way I wanted to really live my life, right? So I ended up playing football for a little while, went into the fitness world, and at that time, maybe 8 years ago, fitness wasn't necessarily something as of an importance as it is now. So early on, I was just kind of learning more about the process. I was trying to find my niche and what I liked, and sports has always been something that has always captivated me and pushed me and kept me motivated and kept me wanting to just continue to get better. And working with the team, especially the way that I did with female football players. Yeah. I mean, it's a very aggressive atmosphere.
I can only imagine, right?
It's aggressive, but it's fun, and it's passionate. It's very, it's cool being on
It's intense.
Very much so.
Right.
But being within that world and then trying to figure out, okay, well, this isn't going to last forever. After a while, my body's gone through a lot of wear and tear. I've had some accomplishments, some failures within that process. And obviously, we don't really talk too much about what it's going to look like post-professional career. And when I found F45, it was something that it hit me, like a ton of bricks, legit.
Yeah, and it can hit you like a ton of bricks sometimes.
Physically, mentally, all around. And when I found this, I was actually in Australia, and I saw like the capacity that it had grown in Australia, right? Like I didn't really think too much about it, and I was just really curious about what it was and what it stood for. And I loved the training, went to go take a class, and it was something that I was very familiar with because it had that team dynamic. It had multiple people in the room, the energy, the intensity, but it was fun, you know what I'm saying? So when I came back to the States, I saw that there was a location in Austin that has just opened up, so I actually lived in Austin at the time. I went to go try it out, same exact thing. It was crazy that 2 places from across the world of each other were still having the same type of energy and motive within the workout. And I got involved as immediately as I could. And I used that during my off season. I used that during my season to stay in shape. And I just completely fell in love with it. Ended up being involved in the community aspect of it. And then when studios started to open up, I then decided to take the next step and become a trainer with one of the studios. Well, as soon as that started happening and I started developing within that business and understanding the dynamic of the training and the business overall, management and just growth and all the above, I decided, you know what, one day I want to open one of these myself. I want to be able to create my own community. I want to help people as much as I possibly can. I want to be able to develop a movement in a place that doesn't necessarily see much movement, and that's San Antonio.
You know, it's crazy. So, when we talk about things like fear creates opportunity, this is an exact example of that. And I tell people a lot of times that you can't go out seeking things. So many people take something or do something because they wanted to use this and they're going to take this and do something else with it, right? And I can tell you the perfect example is exactly that. You took what you knew it was going to be fearful and comfortable, and you could have taken the safe route. You could have taken the route that was going to guarantee you X, Y, Z. You knew where it was going to get you the respect from your parents, your family, X, Y, Z, right? But you did something that really most folks would have said, you can't do this. Like, women can't play football, right? Yes, they can. Women can't do this. Yes, they can. But yet, when the opportunity came around, you took it. And then the next opportunity came looking for you, right? And that's me. And that's why I would tell you, like, I came in that same journey about unlocking, your body can help you really fuel what you're trying to do. And that's exactly right? When I bumped into you, it kind of said, all right, I was at that point in my life where my business career was going well, but it could have been better. And what I was missing was the energy that workout and fitness needed. And just by luck, boom, I met you, right? So that fear created an opportunity, and then now you had some fear. So let's go back to a lot of those folks that say they're in a position and maybe something's been presented to them, okay? But they don't know how to do it, or they don't know if they're ready for it, or is this the right person? So tell us a little bit how you made that leap. You said you were in Austin. You never owned your own business, really.
Right.
So what made you make that leap from there, and what gave you that confidence?
It was me having more passion for something than fear, right? So I already knew my mission. I know what I wanted to do with moving forward with my business and myself. And I've done so many things where, yes, I have broken barriers and I did do things, but because I loved them and I had a lot of passion for them. And as cliche as that sounds, it's a real feeling. I had a lot more passion than fear during sports, growing up, playing sports and playing at the levels that I did, because I was going to be playing with elite people. But at the same time, I wanted to say, I don't want to have a what if moment in my life. I want to be able to say, at least I tried.
Right.
And if I failed, then I'm going to try again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think about this a lot too. And this is something I've actually had a conversation with you about. Growing up, I had a single mom, everything. And the one thing she always told me was, you don't know the word can't.
Yeah.
And I live by that till this day.
She does not know the word can't.
I just don't give up. I don't like to. And I think sports and development have actually helped me really develop that type of thought process, that I'm scared all the time. You know what I mean? It is scary. It does get stressful owning a business. It was stressful being a woman football player and having people doubt you and tell you couldn't do certain things. But looking at that, even though it was scary, it was something that I wanted to prove to myself. And even though people tell you you don't need to prove anything to other people, that was my biggest driver.
Yeah.
Because I was going to pave the way and set the standard for people coming in behind me.
Yeah.
So when you're the person kind of paving the way, you're going to have moments where you're going to stop or you're going to veer off, and it's going to happen. You're human. But at the same time, when you have that thought process and you're like, I'm the person that's setting the tone for this. I want to set the standard, set it right, set it high.
So I want to jump into something specific, okay? So opportunity got presented to you, right? And so you had that moment, I'm sure, that you either had to decide, do I do this or do I not? Who did you call, and what made you go, all right, screw it, I'm going to go? Because I know you packed up and you moved down here, right? So again, you took a chance. So what made you do it?
Man, I have to really look back on this because it was scary. But the first person I called was my mom.
Yeah?
Yeah, because she's...
And what'd she say? Tell me what she said. Obviously your mom's in your corner, but what'd she say? What did you tell her?
Well, the first thing she did was, well, what is it that you're trying to do?
Yeah.
And she wanted to kind of explain
people?
it, right? Who are these people? What are they trying to do? And when I talked to her, the first thing she said was, you know what, the one thing that I realized, Chaz, is that you're not trying to convince me that this is what you want to do. You're telling me what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing she says. She goes, just remember, you don't know the word can't.
Yeah.
So go fucking do it.
You know what's crazy? Like, that's absolutely right. There's so many things that have done that you can't measure and quantify. You go with your gut decision, right? And sometimes you test your gut, and you've got to do that. You've got to just go with your gut decision. I watched you in action. I watched what you're capable of doing. I saw what people were doing. And then I had some opportunity to visit with you, and I pushed you to some challenges. And I see you do this, and you know what? You did it with no promises, no guarantees. And I say, at the end of the day, you got to go with your gut feelings on some things. So here we are now in San Antonio. You've decided to go into business with some folks. So, you know, there's so much that happens right now. And I think the topic that people talk about more than anything right now is equality and what women can't do, or what women can do, what they're capable of. But you know, one thing that always strikes to me is we're all equal. Right? And the more we talk about where we're unequal, or where there is inequality, then we really magnify that. And one thing I've seen you do is step into a boardroom, whether it's men, women, whatever that is, you have always held your own, right? And so I know a lot of people out there, young people, women, men, whoever they are, they look up to you. So how do you use your fear that you have of knowing you have some of those feelings? How do you turn that into another opportunity for you?
Well, I mean, you're speaking about equality, and I mean, I'll bring this up to light. You know, you're one of my business partners. I have another business partner as well, and you guys are light years ahead. G-Money, yes. You guys are light years ahead of me in knowledge and success and everything. And I think what it took for me, because I come from a sports background, I have to have that confidence that I'm good at what I do and developing within that. But I think what it really was I saw that more as an opportunity. Like, yeah, it was scared the shit out of me. You know what I mean? I'm sitting in a room with you guys, and I'm like, so there's a lot of respect, there's a lot of intimidation, but it's also the fact that I am a young woman sitting in front of people that are relying on me to convince them that what I'm bringing to the table is worth them investing in. Yeah. And that's scary, you know, especially because it's like, here's one way. If you're scared, you're going to end up dropping it. You're not going to have the confidence, and they're not going to want to work with you because they look at them, look at their stature, and look how confident they are. And then there's a point of, or you can go out and you can just go fucking kill it. Yeah. Do your absolute best.
And that's it. And so, you know, Chas, like we've gone through a lot over the last 2.5 years of building this, probably in the toughest time to do this, in the middle of a pandemic, right? Yeah. We open something, you have all this momentum, and a pandemic happens, and nothing, you know, we talk about the word pandemic, but it hit the fitness industry super hard, right? But yet continued to strive and push through that, create some opportunity. And, you know, for those of you that know us or don't know us, but like, I will push the hell out of you. I will push you till you feel like you're gonna break, push you till you feel like we're gonna cry, and I'll do it with you, right? Yeah. But, you know, the fact that creates you to step up to each level of challenge is what I think is incredibly powerful, right? And so, some of those things have created these next level of opportunities. So tell me now, how have you grown now that you've done this? How have you grown yourself? Like, what are some true growth moments in a young entrepreneur, right? In an industry that sometimes is unknown to you? Finance, how are we structuring these things and say, I got to keep plowing forward? What are areas that you have grown in that the audience should look at this and say, this is where I need to grow as well?
I love this question. Yeah. I'll kind of take it back. When I'm sitting in a room with you guys, the thing is I have to like humble myself to know that I don't know everything, but I have to be strategically silent and listen. And that's always been something that I've struggled with because I'm an aggressive person. I want to be right. Like, I have a very strong alpha personality, but I understood the position that I was in. So being silent and listening and understanding that each time that I sit in a room with you guys, or each time that I sit in a room with people who are at a higher level than me, that's an opportunity for me to learn. And that's the beautiful thing about being a business owner or growing within that, was there's always opportunity to learn. Like, I could master my craft to the fullest to where I can teach it, but no matter what, there's always something new for me to figure out, for me to listen to. There's always going to be someone who has more information than me. Right. So that's the opportunity I see it as. So for me, the area of growth was sitting back and actually listening and taking the opportunity to learn from people who I look up to and that I aspire to be. And for a lot of people can't humble themselves enough to be able to say, because you're sitting in a place where, like I said, you got to convince people that you're right, and you want to be on the same level, but sometimes it's not like that. You know, you and Grant took an opportunity on me, stating, look, we see an opportunity in this business, but let's see what she's really capable of.
Yep.
And each time that, yes, you put me through new challenges, or you sat me down and you drilled me on certain situations, the one thing that I will forever pride myself in is I didn't look at you and break. I said, fuck yeah, you just made me stronger.
Right.
Like, let's go. But I always asked you specifically, and this is another thing that I always struggled with, is I asked you for help. Tell me next steps I need to take. And if we fail, that's okay. We're going to get back up. We're going to try it again until we get it right.
You know what? She touched on something huge, and we talked about it in one of the previous podcasts about thinking micro, right, in order to grow. And that's about being able to sit back in times and instances to actually observe, right, and listen, because there's opportunities for you to truly grow. But sometimes we want to. And I'm a type A, strong ass personality. And there are times where I have to sit back and listen as well. And I learn, right? Mm-hmm. And for some of you, like, if you have a chance to like just sit in on one of our business meetings, it's hilarious. Because it feels like there's a fight and an argument is happening. Yeah. And if you're an outsider and you walk in, you're like, holy shit, these people don't like each other at all. Nor do they have any common understanding of what they're trying to do. And yet, every time we walk away with an even better solution. Right. We just talked about, we had a meeting last week, right? And it's like, if you walked in, you would go, these people are fucking yelling at each other. But yeah, we came away with magic, right? Yeah. Because everyone's view was, when you have leaders in a room, whether you're strong, silent, loud, quiet, doesn't matter. You got an opinion, right? And it's gonna come out. And when it comes out, that's what we want, right? With the honesty to go, no, I disagree, right? Yeah. I disagree.
Well, even on that too, like, but when you're, I'll just use this as an example. Listening to you guys and how you communicate has helped me develop on how to communicate with you properly.
Yeah, it's true. And so we talk about communication, right? And one of the podcasts previous too, communication is so key in how you do that. And that's how you're going to grow, because you're going to listen, you're going to be effective in when you do communicate, and that's going to allow you to grow. Yeah. It's going to allow your voice to be powerful and grow. And so I'm going to switch gears a little bit, okay? So we obviously, we know, for those of you that follow Chas and follow Chasity on Instagram, TikTok, probably everything she's got, way more followers than anybody, but she's incredible, right? But beyond what you may see, on that side of it, one of the things I think that's huge for people who are going to grow, and I'm big on it this year, particularly this year because of what I went through over the last couple of years, is you got to remove some toxic things around you, right? And that's not just, it's not specific, but you know it, right? Like, when you know something isn't making you better, that's your cue to go, pause. Can I find a way to get rid of it? And that's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to make you go, this is what I know. This is who I'm with. This is where I live. This is all of that. Yeah. And in the last just quick few minutes, we've talked about all the things that she's gotten uncomfortable with to remove, whether it's getting out of Austin, losing some of your friends, right? Maybe going out and partying as much as you did because you got to be up there early on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, got to open another business, right? But you got to remove some toxic things. So give me an example of something that you've gotten rid of that has been tough to do, but is helping you today.
I think for me, and I mean, I will never discredit anyone, or anything like that. But I think removing myself from relationships, and not because a relationship was toxic, but I just didn't feel like it was something that was going to elevate me into that next step of where I was trying to be. And a lot of that's, it's tough because it is very selfish. You have to live with that a little bit. But I think when I look at like where I'm trying to be and what I'm trying to do and the lives I'm trying to touch and the growth I'm trying to have, not only in myself, but in other people, if something doesn't add to that and it's kind of holding me back and I feel that, it puts me in a place of anxiety and stress and frustration and resentment. And that's the last thing that I want to have with anyone I'm supposed to have a connection with, right? Yeah. And whether it's relationship, friendship, or business or whatever, you know what I mean? The last thing I want to do is have some type of resentment to somebody because I feel like they're holding me back from something. And it's not necessarily their fault, because when you try to explain what you're doing to certain people and they just can't relate, it comes off as a negative feeling, and it comes off as jealousy, or it comes off whatever. It's some type of negative energy that somebody could have towards the things that you're doing because they don't necessarily understand. And then when it comes down to something of me wanting to ask for advice or wanting to vent about certain things, and it's not receptive enough by them on how I'm explaining it, it just comes off as words, and
Yeah.
it's not really me being able to express myself fully. So I feel in a place of being trapped.
Yeah.
And when I feel like that and something is holding me back, I have to make the best decision possible for myself and others around me who are trying to move with me. And sometimes, it's hard, it's tough because most people won't understand that feeling. But in the end, I'm trying to do what's going to be best for me, because if I'm at my best self, then everybody else that I'm trying to get to that point is going to be able to get there as well.
Look, when we talk about removing toxicity and go back to this, this is the most important thing that I can press upon anybody, is finding the things that are in your life that are toxic and get rid of them.
Yeah.
And the quicker and the faster you do it, the better. The other day, there was some new folks in one of the classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
F45. Y'all know I do F45 religiously, obviously. But there were some people in there that were new. And you could tell, right?
Yeah.
They got through their first class and they came together. Mm. And I remember going up to them, telling them, look, stick with it. The second thing is find yourself a friend that's going to come in here, and the friend that's going to go, don't worry about it. Like, I can't believe you're doing that. It's not going to work. Mm-hmm. Like, you've tried this before, or it's just one drink, or it's just whatever. That's the person you need to find a way to remove. And if they're still there, or they find themselves coming back to you, go, you know what? All right, I've seen you do this. Now let me try it.
Right.
That's a friend that you probably should have and keep. But the one that's just going to go, well, whatever. Mm-hmm. She's too whatever. Or he's too good. That's the person that was already negative in your life, right? And that just goes for all types of things, for me, I've gotten rid of some things, like, I'm gonna drink less of this, or I'm not gonna do this. And people are like, oh, what is it doing for you? Like, versus the one who goes, hey, has it helped?
Yeah.
Like, have you noticed a difference?
Yeah.
Now they're inquisitive versus going, oh, well, I can't do without it. Mm-hmm. I can't do without it. It's like, well, why not? Why not?
Right. I will even say this too. I mean, even with having people that are kind of giving you a bit more confidence in the things that you're doing, one thing that I feel like that has helped me tremendously is kind of removing yes men from my life, right? People that are just constantly like, you're doing well, you're doing good.
And women, yes, women
and women,
too.
well, you know what I mean, just in general sense. But like, removing those types of people, not removing them, but understanding those may not be the people I'm trying to go talk to about, certain situations that I have in my professional life, or even the people that are in my professional life. Because some people, they need that additional comfort of like the yes, yes, yes. But other people, I mean, I'll just kind of talk about myself. I like that challenge. The challenge is always going to make me want to push harder, make me become better. And if somebody's constantly telling me that I'm great, even though sometimes I like to hear it, tell me I'm pretty, feed me, whatever. Sometimes, but if it's constant.
Chaz gets like 1 million likes on every post, so she gets enough of that, right?
I wish, so follow me.
I send angry emojis. I send angry emojis all the time. I'm like, Chaz, you ain't winning nothing yet. Yeah. That's right.
We're not killing it. We're not killing it.
Yeah.
But that's why I look at you as like a mentor and everything, because even though me and Rahul will have minimal talks about, okay, we're doing great things and stuff like that, it's always a constant talk about what's that next step that we're going to take. But I need that, because I think that's what's really helped me get to the place where I'm at, is that me not necessarily going to a yes man, not necessarily going to the nicest person in the room. It's like, I want to make that fucking dog over there like love me, you know what I mean? Like, what is it that I need to do to impress you?
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're always kind of shooting for that next step. But overall, like, I think the best thing for me is that I've been able to work with people that consistently challenge me, fighters, that's what I call them, right?
Yeah.
People that constantly want to fight for that next big step. So the yes man, limiting some of those. Sometimes you need those.
Yeah.
But it's the fighters that have constantly pushed me to want to be to that next level.
It's incredible because, so I know we were laughing about this and you probably have no idea, but the inside for us is every time we've hit a milestone or done something for the first time, Chaz, right? She's ready to go. Like she used
Where
to
are we getting shots? What are we doing?
She used to use this phrase called, we're killing it, right? We're killing it. And it turned into a little bit of an inside joke in the sense that that was what she would say. And we're like, nobody's fucking killing anything. We're not killing anything. And so anytime, doesn't matter what we hit a new milestone the other day. And I go, we're not killing it. We're not killing anything. We don't even know what we are. We're still losers. And it's just this thing. It's this mindset to know we got to keep going. We got to keep breaking barriers. And when you rest and you stop, when you slow down, then you're not able to continue to push your limits, right? You can continue to get better at every phase. And you touched on something about mentorship and the people around you, right? And I look at it as like the people who are going to give you honest, direct feedback, and you have to be able to be receptive to that.
You need that,
right?
yeah.
Like you have to be able to listen to that to grow, because there are people around you that are constantly going to have areas of improvement, right? Like people, and it's not about what they've done. It doesn't matter. I mean, you get something from my 10-year-old daughter will tell me things sometimes. I'm like, yeah, damn, she's right, right? Like, so I got to listen to her. Otherwise, I could be like, oh, you're 10, you don't know. But sometimes she's right.
Right.
She's totally right, right? You know, when it comes to style, like she's got her game on tight. You know, she knows. Like, all right. I'm like, Vans aren't in, and she's like, yes, they are. I'm like, all right, I guess you're right, right? So you have to keep pushing that. So Chaz, I mean, for those folks that are listening and tuning in, and you're in San Antonio, I know you're in a lot of places, so where can they find you?
Shoot, I mean, anywhere you guys look up F45, that's where you'll pretty much see me. And
Well, how many locations you got now?
right now we have 4. And we're opening up 2 more, and
Boom.
we're not stopping there. Let's
Yeah,
put it that way.
that's the thing. She doesn't even know how many more we got going on. So stay tuned, right? So honestly, this is incredible for me to be able to have Chaz, and I call her Chaz, and we have another name for her. You can hashtag this Chazzy Chaz. That's what we call her around here, Chazzy Chaz.
Please don't do that. Like, it's the cringiest name.
It's the worst.
The cringiest name.
That's what we do. But she's been incredible. And so for all of you that are out there that are, hey, who hear the things, I'm not old enough, or I haven't done enough, I haven't experienced enough, go back to some of the things that we've talked about in all of these previous podcasts, and go back and listen to each one and realize there's somebody who's lived and breathed and truly has put theory into practice with this and made all those things come full circle, right? And the thing is age, none of that limits you. It's about your mind and how you limit yourself. That's going to happen. And you're going to be in rooms where you're uncomfortable. You're going to be in rooms with people who've accomplished more, in rooms with people who haven't accomplished enough. So you got to pull them along, and sometimes you have to be able to be brought along, right? But putting that ego aside, and I say this all the time where I'm like, hey Chaz, like, I feel like I've punched you in the face so many times that there are times I'm like, hey, you good? And each time it's like, yeah. And she does it right back. I mean, she's grown a voice in a room of people that, in my opinion, she can command that room, and we respect that. And so, for all of you that are out there that are young or a female that are afraid to go into this, like, look at this woman and realize you can do anything that you're capable. It has nothing to do with your education, your income, none of it.
No, not at all.
The right people and the right group of people around you will bring you that. So,
and I'll say this one last thing, because I actually had a conversation about this yesterday. And with all that being said, with being a woman and everything, and being, like you said, being able to grow to where I can command a room, the one thing I will say, if anybody's wanting to open up their own business or has a passion for something, enjoy yourself, enjoy the process, and enjoy every bit of it, even the hard times, the successes and the failures, because in all reality, if you're not having fun with it, you're done with it, and if you're done with it, you're not going to keep pushing forward. So keep that up.
I have this journal. It says business bullshit, right? And it's funny because we live in this world of Instagram and social media where owning and operating a business is really, really easy. But one of the things that we unlocked here is, like, you have to be human, and you'll realize it is tough. There are moments and days where you're going to want to cry. And that is what entrepreneurship is all about. And that is what Chasity Morales really breeds. So Chasity, it's an honor to have you on as my first podcast show.
Honor being here too.
With a guest. And so for those of you that have tuned into the previous podcast, go listen to some of those, specifically Fear Creates Opportunity. And Chaz, loved having you on today. So for those of you, please follow the Official Hour and the Official RBP and Chasity Morales.